This morning, the Wall Street Journal published an incredibly provocative piece by Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren about how companies can be held accountable to reward more than just shareholders and the top dogs. We have been big believers on Mad Money that the companies that perform the best are the ones that pay and treat the rank and file much better than others. So this article resonated with us. So we were thrilled to sit down with her this morning at the New York Stock Exchange to discuss her novel way to reward the stakeholders of the enterprise. Take a look. Senator, one of the things we talk about in Mad Money is that they're more than just shareholders, they're stakeholders. Yeah. You produced a very thought-provoking article in the Wall Street Journal about companies shouldn't be accountable only to shareholders. Tell us about it.
All right. So you know how American economy worked for decades, shoot, for centuries. And that was that the biggest companies in this country had multiple responsibilities. Responsibility to their shareholders, to their employees, to their customers, and to the communities that they were involved in. And it worked. Right? Everybody got richer.
And we're coming back to it, like a Salesforce is saying it, but the vast majority of
that's right.
Back.
Stock market went up, productivity goes up, and workers do better. We built the great American middle class. And then what happened? You start basically in the 1980s, and corporations start shifting over, and they say, wait. We have just one single-minded focus. Shovel as much money as you can into the pockets of the shareholders and forget about the rest of that stuff. And the consequence has been that the shareholders have done really well. The 10% of America that owns more than 80% of all the stock shovel money in there. But workers, wages have flattened out. In fact, lately it looks like hourly wages adjusted for inflation have gone down.
Digitization.
No kidding. But here's the thing about all of that. It's that it's not even working long-term for the corporations themselves. We have seen over the past 25 years extraction of about $7 trillion of investment in America's companies. That's not how we build a long-term future. So I have a proposal to deal with it.
Okay.
And my proposal says, let's get a little accountability into the system, and let's get these corporations to charter federally, the ones that have more than $1 billion of sales every year. And let's have a couple of features. First one, let's put some employees on the board. Let the employees elect some people. So you've got multiple representation on the board itself. Second one, let's change the compensation structure for the CEOs to say that the CEOs will not be permitted to juice the price, and then once they juice the price, make a quick sale, make $1 bazillion, and keep emphasizing the incentives. That's what we've got now for short-termism. Want to get rid of it.
Okay, so why, devil's advocate?
Okay.
If your bill passes, we know the way capitalism can work. It can be a little rogue. Would some companies say tax on jobs, we'll just outsource? Tax on jobs, we'll hire temporary workers? How do you get around that?
No. This doesn't change anything. Let's be clear. This is no new taxes, and I want to be really clear. Doesn't cost the American taxpayer a single penny.
So it's not anti-business.
It's not anti-business. This is saying to businesses, hey, what you need is you need a little more diversified board, and you need CEOs and top executives who are incentivized not just to think in the next quarter, but to think longer arc about how this business works. That's going to be good for everybody.
Now, let's take a company like Costco. They have long thought this. Costco's the best performer in the group. Salesforce, long thought it. Best performer in the group. Why do we need legislation when the examples of great stocks that actually embrace their workers are so evident? What is with the other guys?
Oh, I get it. The problem you've got is we need to level the playing field, and that's what rules do. Because right now, while there are a couple of companies that are willing to show what it does for the companies, the CEOs understand the money is to be made in the companies that don't do that. The money is to be made in short-term juicing the stock. Look at the $1 trillion in buybacks that have occurred. That's not investment in these companies. That's nothing more than a sugar high for those companies in the short term, helps the top executives, but doesn't help the company long term, and sure doesn't help the employees, and sure doesn't help the communities they're in.
Okay, let's talk about the bigger picture of trade.
Okay.
We need to worry, I believe, and have felt that the industrial economy, that there have been predator economies like China that have really hurt and targeted our industries. Do we worry about, say, the steel industry the way the current administration is? Because in the end, if it's rapacious and coming from overseas, we lose the workers lose their jobs, and that's just their pay. Well, how do you feel about it?
So look, I've been a critic of trade policy in America, as you know.
That's why I brought
That's
it
why
up.
you brought it up.
That's why I brought it up.
Because I've been on this for such a long time.
But you've been on this train for a long time because I follow you. You've always been concerned about the American worker losing their job because of predators from overseas.
And I have worried about trade policy that has been written largely by a handful of multinational corporations. That it has not been written to enrich Americans. It's been written to enrich those who play above that sphere. And I give you one quick example, and that's enforcement of the promises in the trade deals. You know, they put labor promises in, they put environmental promises in, they put the level playing field promises in those trade deals. Good luck on getting them enforced. But for the giant multinationals, there's a special deal. And the special deal is, if they don't like a new regulation that gets passed after they've cut a trade deal, they get to go to a special fast-track arbitration outfit made up of corporate lawyers. They come in and make their case that Canada shouldn't be able to prohibit this particular chemical, or the United States is doing X, or Mexico's doing Y, that they don't like, and it cuts into profits. A handful of corporate lawyers make a decision. Are you ready? They hand down that decision, and either the country changes its law or makes a big payment. No going through a court system, no appeals, no nothing. That's just saying, in effect, trade deals are written for the guys who run these big multinationals, not for the American people.
Now, Senator Warren, you know that Peter Navarro was a very close advisor to President Trump. If he were sitting here, he would probably say that chapter in verse. Does it bother you that you're basically on the same side as someone who's the chief trade advisor to the president?
Look, I'm on the side of the American people. American workers do better. We all do better.
Yeah.
For me, that's what this
goes
is about.
Up too. You know that the individual stocks go up.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, we built in America a great middle class, and we did it on the backs of hardworking people who came together, mostly through their unions, to be able to say, this is a country whose rules give everybody a chance. That's gone off track in the past 25, 30 years in the wrong direction. We are a country increasingly where the government works just for those at the top and just leaves everyone else behind.
I want people to understand the context. I mean, a lot of people feel you're just this left-wing firebrand. Isn't what you described the way this country was in 1980?
Yeah. I mean, that's really the point. I believe in markets. I believe in all of the wealth that markets produce. But markets have to have rules. And together, we decide those rules. You know, like, you got to have a cop on the beat. You got to have traffic lights.
Okay, where was the cop on the beat on Wells Fargo?
Yeah, and that's the whole point. And, you know, they're an example of why I've put this new proposal together. So here's Wells Fargo. What do the executives do? They squeeze, they push, they trick, they break the law to juice their short-term profits. And every time they do that, they get richer. Long-term, what the executives of that company did to that company and what that board of directors signed off on is not good for the health of Wells Fargo. It's not good for the employees of Wells Fargo. It's not good for the customers of Wells Fargo. And it's not good for the American banking system or the American economy. We need to put a stop to that.
Okay, so once again, just want to go back because I know that people say, well, hold it. How could Senator Warren say, wait, I see some advantages, say, to what Peter Navarro says. President Trump's overall economic position is that there are countries that take advantage of us. And by the way, and boost the profits of multinationals. That's not talked about that much.
That's right.
You're fine being aligned on this particular issue.
I'm aligned with the American people. That's what matters to me, the American worker. I want to see American workers who produce so much of the wealth in this country. I just want to see them be participants in getting some of that wealth back in their pockets.
I know this is a loaded question, but there will be people who listen and they'll say, she must be running for president. What do we say to them?
You know, look, these are, first of all, I am running for Senate, 83 more days, Massachusetts, 2018. But let me say, These are the things I've worked on all my life, Jim. You know that.
No, I followed you.
Not a position has changed. This is about
uniform.
We've got to get this country to work for all of us.
All right, Senator Elizabeth Warren, thank you so much.
You bet. It's good to see you.
Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.